Welcome to another episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker on this January 19th, 2022. And we have a very fun guest today. His name is Luka James. He is a musician, singer-songwriter out of New York City. Unfortunately, Brendan is not with us today, so he will be not helpful in this conversation whatsoever. So we once again thumb our noses at Brendan for not being here.
Good riddance to bad rubbish, I say.
Right. And before we move on too much further, later on, our client is going to be Spaceships and Toasters. That will be our client for today. That will be represented in a bad way from Greg and I, and possibly Luka if he sticks around.
Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Let's get started.
Greg, I believe, has our fake sponsor for today. So what is the sponsor that is not paying our bills today, Greg?
Our world has become a very divisive place where people squabble and bicker at the slightest provocation. The earth is flat. That's not true. They're making it harder for white people to get the COVID vaccine. You're an idiot. Donald Trump committed treason on January 6, 2021. Well, yes, but I still think Janeway is the best captain. But there's one thing we can all agree on. There's too many ugly people in the world. Not an hour goes by without some repulsive, asymmetrical face assaulting the delicate sensibilities of our vision. Well, now you can do something about it. Critical face theory is an amazing new product that makes even the most ungainly goon as pleasing to the eye as it is to the palate. After just a few sips of our patented elixirs, your vision will gloss over all the flaws and blemishes of even the most vile visage. Instead of thinking, what kind of God would allow such off-putting individuals to make me question the justness of his world? You'll now see a flawless example of humanity that you will admire and feel goodwill towards. So if you're tired of living on the planet of the Ernest Borgnines, buy Critical Face Theory today. Available in over 90 flavors, including whiskey, tequila, and mint julep. There you go.
Critical Face Theory?
Yes.
Very inspired. You were inspired, weren't you?
Is it amazing new product? I didn't make it.
Amazing new product, yes.
You can buy it.
Excellent job on tracking that sponsor down to not pay our bills, Greg. Much appreciated. Anyway, all right, let's get into more serious things. Let's talk to Luka James, all the way from New York City. He just recently released the song Mist, which you can find on YouTube and Spotify. And he also has another single out called Hazy Dreams that came out a few months ago. So, Luka, tell us a little bit about your journey into creating your songs, because I find it interesting that both of them are things that are hard to see through. Mist and Hazy Dreams. It's like, is there a theme going on there?
Is there
yeah.
a song?
Yeah. First off, I like the critical face, dude. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
That was
Usually
good.
Greg is just critical of people's faces, so it's good he finally found a
Yeah,
sponsor.
I'm glad he has an outlet for being critical of faces.
Yeah.
Now I can turn it into something constructive rather than just like the peanut gallery.
Yeah, Greg.
I'm very judgmental.
That's a good pickup on the Hazy Mist. I kind of realized that when I was already kind of mastered the songs. I was like, music is really my outlet to try to whine about my inner self, but also to try to help relate to people to see that there's ways to work through it, whether it's music or creativity or doing a podcast with your buddies. Like, there's outlets to kind of have more of a peaceful relationship with that.
I did get the sense of the love thing because, I saw the video. I didn't know you were. And I could tell that, like, that wasn't just some actress you hired. I was like, this is his girlfriend. I could tell. Like, you could, by the way you shot her, the camera shots, it was like, this guy loves this woman. Like, this is not just some actress he hired to be in his video. You could sense it. You know what I mean? By the your camera work.
But
Yeah,
is it true though? Is she your girlfriend?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
If
Good
you read the
call.
bio, Matt, you'd know that.
Well,
I'm
you know,
kidding.
I mean, things change over time, and you don't know if people are
Yes,
still
this
dating
is true.
people or anything.
That could be
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Yeah, well, we are a little bit. We're in different places right now because she's really pushing the acting, following in the family footsteps, pushing the acting thing in LA. So there's space in our relationship for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of love there, and
Well,
it was
especially if you're in New York and she's in California, that's a
Right.
major space between you.
right. But yeah, there's a lot of authentic love there, and it's cool because I think the lyrics in the song kind of came from a breakup, and then the video came from falling in love, and it was cool that the song actually, it was like glass half full, glass half empty. It's like from what perspective it could be about finding love or it could be about dealing with breakup. So it's cool that for me the song represents the breakup and the heartbreak, and then the video represents falling in love. So yeah.
So you're able to actually open a chapter and close a chapter at the same time.
The cycle of life.
That's right. As long as no one dies, that's the main thing. We don't want that to happen.
Oh, we
when
all
it comes
die,
to
man.
creating music.
So
Well,
I'm curious.
hopefully
like,
not soon.
You
Hopefully
grew
not
up
soon, yeah.
in Greenwich Village. Like as a little baby, little kid, you were in Greenwich Village.
As a baby.
As a baby and a toddler.
I always had this
muffin.
facial hair though. Yeah.
Yes.
But I
he
mean-
came out of the womb in that.
Yeah.
I grew up in Putnam County, so I'd be in New York City all the time, upstate. And it's just amazing to me. Like, I didn't know anyone who lived in Greenwich Village. It just seemed like one of the coolest places on earth. Like, people actually live here. Was that great growing up in Greenwich Village?
Yeah, I loved it. I think a lot of city kids don't think there's a world outside the city when you're growing up there. You're kind of shocked that people, it was just great. I just had my Razor scooter when I was like 10 going on all the blocks. Great exposure to artists, like most of the adults in my life were artists and creatives. So that's kind of like who I looked up to. My little league coach wasn't like a finance or doctor person. It was like a painter or someone who like worked at like Matt's Guitar or something. And so that was cool. That definitely influenced me. A lot of my role models definitely thought outside the box. And then in adult life, I've fallen in love with nature. And like, I didn't go on a lot of hikes till I was like 20 or go camping till I was like 21. And now I'm just in love with nature. And so, yeah,
Didn't
there's
let you
part of me.
camp in Central Park or anything?
Yeah. Only if I drank too much one night.
Pull up the tent.
Yeah. But
So you just go upstate hike?
Yeah, I go a lot upstate, and then I started an organization called Fresh Air Collective with my friend to try to get a lot of people in New York that like didn't have access to nature. We would do like group hikes, group camping trips. Yeah, so the balance, it's great growing up in New York City, but also like I am, look up to the kids that were able to grow up in Putnam County or something that's ran in backyards and were able to ride their bike to their friends and stuff. That's also pretty sweet.
I have a stupid question, which, from somebody who didn't live in New York, but I've always wondered why it's pronounced Greenwich and not Greenwich. I mean, you guys aren't British, so I don't understand the pronunciation, why is it pronounced that way? Do you have any idea?
Wow.
Either of you can answer this since you're both from New York.
Well, we were formed by British people. New York was, settled by, first the Dutch and then British. So they pronounced it Greenwich. So we do.
Yeah. Like Putnam County isn't like Putnam County, I don't know. It's
It's Viet Nam County.
yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know. I used to always say Houston, and my dad would always say it like Houston Street, and my dad was like, you cannot be a New Yorker if you say Houston Street. It's Houston Street.
Yeah.
So I think New York takes the like we take pride in like the one American place that like has odd pronunciation. We're like, no, we're
it's
not
not the
American.
one.
We're in between America and Europe.
It's not the one place. Greg and I are in Portland, Oregon, and there's a number of places in the Portland metropolitan area where either things are weirdly spelled or weirdly mispronounced. There's a street spelled Couch, which most normal people would pronounce couch, but in Portland they pronounce it cooch.
Even an English person wouldn't pronounce it cooch.
Right.
No,
Even
yeah,
an
the
English
Portland thing
person.
is in Europe. The Portland thing is another planet.
And then there's a town just outside of Portland that's spelled Aloha, which, most people who would see that, especially if you're from Hawaii, would say aloha. But here they pronounce it aloha. Why? I have no idea why they do these things.
And we have a city in Oregon that has a "the" before it. It's called the Dells.
The Dalles, yes.
The Dalles. I've never seen a city that has the something.
But also spelled Dalles.
Yeah.
And they say Dalles as opposed to Dallas. But there's also a town that is called Dallas in Oregon. So maybe they did that to...
Okay, I want to take a trip down memory lane. Lucas, you look really young to me because I'm an old man.
Did you call him Lucas?
Oh, I said Luka. Sorry.
Okay.
No, I did say Lucas. You're right. I meant
there's
Luka.
More than one Luka. When there's two, that's Lucas.
Sorry, Luka. So, are you old enough to remember? Was Bleeker Bob still around when you were a kid?
Bleeker Bob.
Jerry Ollinger's.
What the hell are you talking about?
These are like amazing.
I don't know these things. I don't know these things. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm 30 years old, so I don't know how far back.
Oh yeah, I think they probably were all closed down. But as a kid, we would take pilgrimages to New York City. Not pilgrimages, but I thought of it that way because, I grew up in Putnam County. Nothing there. It was Shittsville, USA. But we'd go to Greenwich Village. There'd be like the coolest punk rock store, Bleeker Bob's. There'd be like Jerry Ollinger's, which sold all this movie shit that like stills from movies. St. Mark's Comics, is that still around? I don't know if you're a comic book fan.
That's
one of the best
familiar.
comic books in America is there.
Greg, for the sake of argument, let's say he remembered all these things existed. Why does this matter?
Because I just love Greenwich Village.
I think there is this memento of New York where there was a past New York, and like everybody's got that timepiece of it, and it's sad that there's like a lot of things now are just corporate. So no, it is cool for me to hear, even because I think I have my like OG places, and then there's even more like OG places. So even when I grew up there, it was already kind of something else.
Yeah, whenever you say OG to Greg, all I can think of is orange goose. So you have to
orange goose. Goose.
Orange goose. There's a proper pronunciation of it.
So I'm curious though. I noticed in the bio that was it just COVID that kind of like kicked you in the ass to make music for the first time? It sounds like you were just, you were interested in music, but you never.
Greg has this theory that you were just raised by rich people, and so you could just hang out in Greenwich and do whatever you wanted.
I didn't. That's not the question. The question is that was this your first like recording music, or you had done other recording projects before COVID?
Yeah. I love Greg's theories, and
we all do, actually.
Yeah. But I was a filmmaker I did humanitarian documentary work for like the UN and Worldwide Orphans and Global Brigades, a lot of NGOs, and then I did commercial work. And the music was always my passion ever since I was young. And the way I had music in my life for the last 10 years was teaching and facilitating vocal improv. I studied with Bobby McFerrin. I got a scholarship to learn from him. So he was just a really, for someone I looked up to and was a mentor in a lot of ways. And I would host weekly vocal improv sessions, and I'd do one-on-ones with people, just trying to get them less scared of singing. It could be like, recording artists or people that just like couldn't even sing in the shower. So I loved just that. I didn't really want to record stuff because I didn't want the ego to get too involved. I loved getting people out of the ego of what's right and what's wrong, and just getting music more accessible to everybody. And then, I had a lot of songs. I had 200 loops on my little loop machine of ideas. I was always writing as my outlet for my therapy, basically. But then in the pandemic, I lost like all my international work. So I was like, I'm gonna pursue this seriously, and I'm gonna see if I could be a recording artist and not do it half-assed, but really try to pursue it. And so yeah, that's what I transitioned my life. And there's a lot of things that help, like getting the unemployment, the pandemic relief stuff helped to take that leap and to not worry about staying the same career. And then since then, there's just been a lot of support, a lot of busking and concerts and collaborations, and helping other people producing their work. So it's been another way to see that, like, oh yeah, there can be a career in this too. You just got to really hustle. And but
What was it like to go out busking for the very first time? It's like, did you pick a spot and were you nervous, or did you think that it was going to be successful for you?
yeah, I have two really good musician friends, Danny Sundrum and Clover, and
Shout out.
they yeah, shout out to them. They busk all the time, and because they're this, like, this beautiful little relationship that's also incredibly talented musicians that sing together. And I was like, I can never really have that pizzazz. They like make out in the middle of their set. But
Wow.
I was
You could always
encouraged.
ask to join
Showmanship.
in.
Yeah, I know. I have.
Oh, okay.
In where was it? It was in wherever Bard College was. We played in Tivoli, and I was like, we need this to be like a polyamorous thing because I need the same fans as you guys. But yeah, they encouraged me because we weren't playing as many shows indoors. So they said, if you want to keep, sharpening your knife, you gotta get out there. And so I played in the Square. I played a couple bars in upstate New York, Tivoli, Hudson. And then when I was out in California last year, I was playing in the Square in Ojai, with them near LA. And yeah, it's super nerve wracking. It's like, especially my type of music, I'm not playing like, like Fleetwood Mac or like, the 60s, 70s hits that everyone wants to hear. I'm more
Plus, you're
like
like a
neo
keyboard player.
soul.
You've got to carry like more equipment
Yeah,
with
the
you as well.
keyboard, I'm not just
Yeah.
like playing guitar and like, singing banjo in the middle of Union Square. So I didn't think it was my place, and I still don't think it is like the exact place I want to perform. I like more intimate venues, but it's fun. I was doing a lot of improv with the kids. Like a kid would come up and I would ask them like what they want to hear a song about, and then we'd make a song about mangoes and like stickers and stuff, and people were impressed by just like the creative process. So yeah.
What's the most money you ever made busking in a day?
Probably like $150 or so. But I don't busk
I don't have
for.
any liquid in my mouth, but I wanted to do a spit take.
Why?
Well, because that's New York City. Like I bust in Tucson, Arizona. I made like $3. Like when you're in New York City,
Yours might
I
not
know
be
a kid
good.
who went. Oh, I'm sorry. What?
No, I'm just kidding.
He said you might
No, I
not
was
have
just
been
gonna
good,
say.
Greg.
I
Greg
do
was
know
a punk.
busker.
Greg was in a punk band, so
No,
probably
but I
not
did
so
try.
melodic.
I did try busking, and we did covers. Actually, we were like trying to like just make some
Oh,
money.
you were really doing it. I
Yeah,
think it was. Yeah.
But I know a guy who went to Boston and like big cities like that. You can have a living being a busker. You don't need a job. Like this guy would go to the what is it, the fish market or whatever in Boston, cool place. He would make like $200 every day more, and just like pay his rent. Didn't have to have a job. So that's exciting that you could live off $150 a day.
I mean, man, that was only like an hour or so, like my friends like Danny and Clover, they've pulled in like 350, just doing a couple
So
hours.
he made $150 in an hour, Greg, is what he was telling you. So
That's like a lawyer.
and you were out there all day and made $3.
But also there's something about
Yeah.
like the pandemic and people I think were really, really happy to see like other forms of entertainment and outlets, So I think there was a lot more support going for artists because people knew like, artists are the ones who kind of get screwed in these things too, because we need engagement.
Are you planning on putting out a full album now that you've got 2 songs? Are you going to do like 10 more? Do you have those in the hopper, or you just plan on doing like an EP maybe?
Yeah, I have 2 more singles that I'll either release as an EP or these songs will all be in my first EP. But I've been writing a ton. I got, I've been here and I just like have my guitar, I have my, my piano, I just have my little mobile, like everything, got my looper, and
Are the next couple of songs called like Fog and Light Moisture?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's Fog, there's Light Moisture, there's
Cataracts.
Cataracts, there's Mind Blur, there's
I like that
Shade.
one.
There's a Shady song,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one even called Squinting My Eyes.
Or just Squinty for short.
Yeah, then there's like a whole like section about like, like a spoken word about just like closing my eyes and rubbing them. So
Luka, on your biography, there's some influences mentioned that neither of us knew who they were. Are there any more popular people that we might know that like have
Well,
influenced your music?
he said Steve Winwood on there. You know who Steve Winwood is, Greg?
I know, but there's other name. A lot of them though were like. But I'm curious of like, who are your favorite musicians that when you were a kid influenced you?
Yeah, maybe I should put more of those. Someone else asked me. Yeah, those are my contemporary kind of sounds, but the people that influenced me a lot, you know Radiohead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like
I don't know if Greg
Radiohead I would
does, but-
listen to all the time growing up in the car. And my brother is also a musician, so, I would hear I would smell weed, perforating from his room, and then I would just be like putting my ear and just like melting as like a 6-year-old into like Jim Morrison and Eric Clapton, and I love, jazz, Chet Baker. I love like the voice of Chet Baker and just like seeing the more feminine men. I liked, I think a lot of like these feminine male singers like Chet Baker, Steve Winwood,
Tiny Tim,
Red Hot Chili Peppers,
David Bowie.
Yeah, like things like that. Even like, just like male vocalists that could like pour their heart out and kind of define
Tom Jones.
New wave. Whatever you guys are saying, I don't know. But these just seeing like how the masculine could be a little bit more feminine and expressive, because so often it's like, you're a man, you need to do this. And I feel like music actually for a lot of men is the one outlet that we get to be a little bit more expressive and vulnerable and from the heart. I know things are changing a lot now, but yeah, that's who I looked up to. And
so if
you
you
wanna
want some
select that
serious
from
feminine
Creed.
voices in music, you need to listen to John Anderson from Yes and Geddy Lee from Rush, and possibly even Rick Emmett from Triumph.
Matt,
They
those
have,
aren't
some
feminine voices. Those are elvish voices from Tolkien.
Yeah, you
Those
kind of done that like hey, like
elves.
that, that like real like the 80s rock, right? Those are your the ones I know. So I know Rush and the other
well,
one
it's
you mentioned.
70s, more 70s into the 80s, but
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, even
it's
like
old man music.
Led Zeppelin.
True. Robert Plant is
Plant.
another one. But
That's
then there's Greta Van
But it's
Fleet
almost
now,
not.
right?
But it's almost not, because like it's all subjective. But there, even those guys, when you see Robert Plant without the shirt, tight pants, singing really high, that's like kind of feminine, but also he's like still just like in a way, these singers like Axl Rose, whatever. To me, they're like still very like I'm in control, and I think that their notes are like it's like a sword. And I think a lot of these male vocalists that I'm relating to more is like even singing soft and having a little bit more space and breath, and a little bit more vulnerability.
So maybe a little more new wavy or something like
Nick Drake. Yeah, Nick Drake is a great example.
Nick Drake sings very calmly, very non, it's not in your face, aggressive male macho-ness. It's just so gentle.
For a second, I thought you were referring to Nick Cave, and I'm like, what? Then I went, oh, no, Nick Drake, much different.
But that is interesting that you brought that up, Led Zeppelin, because I noticed from doing karaoke is that I've heard very few men sing Led Zeppelin. Only women can do that register. Almost every time I hear a Led Zeppelin singer, it's a woman.
Yeah, my mom is a sick Led Zeppelin singer.
Yeah. It's hard for men to sing.
My dad is more like Neil Young.
Are your parents musicians?
Yeah. My mom could have been a rock star, but she became a psychologist. And my dad plays guitar and sings folk music.
What a loser. She could have been a rock star and she became a psychologist.
Loser.
Lame.
She could have been on this podcast.
I know, exactly.
She still could.
All right, yeah, we'll get that. She'll love it.
Give her a call.
She'll talk your head off. You'll be diagnosed by the end of it for sure.
Yeah, that's probably why he traveled the country, was to stop being diagnosed from home.
I'd like to talk about the traveling the country. What was that all about? Was that like a vision quest or just
vision quest?
It says in your bio that you traveled everywhere. Like, how old were you at this time?
I've been everywhere. I've been a lot of places thanks to my work. I went to almost 30 countries in my 20s shooting films. Whoa. Doing some amazing work, and not just like the capitals, but like real rural, like in Panama. I was in the Darien Gap in the middle of the rainforest. in Greece. I was with a refugee camp. I've been all over, but the country I never really got to know, and I wanted to, especially with all the politics. So I took the music with my friends, and we went to a lot of swing states as we drove across, and we just would knock on doors trying to engage voter turnout, and then we would play concerts to try to we just were very environmentalists, and we just wanted to talk about the environment, not saying one side or the other, but that it's important to be engaged, and this is what we cared about, and if you care about something, you know, like, get involved with it. And it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. I learned a lot.
So, Greg, what makes him different than you or I is the fact that he actually follows through with his social justice activities. He doesn't just say them and walk away and do nothing.
I don't even say social justice often.
He's like somebody who's actually walking the walk as opposed
No, that's great.
to talking the talk. So
No, believe
thank
me,
you for being a better human being than us, Luka. We
no,
appreciate
man,
that.
I have the better human beings. It's all comparison, you know. Comparison is the thief of joy. It's like every day I wake up and I'm not like at a soup kitchen or something. I'm always like, wow, you just like basically did masturbation today with your like own shit, you know. And so I don't think low. And plus, in Portland, all you have to do is like honk a horn and ride a bicycle, right? Isn't that like what you do to like do activist work there?
Yep.
If you ride the
Just put up
bicycle,
some,
though, you
like,
have to
cool
ride it
design
naked.
posters, like
Yeah.
hating on, you know, white suburban liberals.
Well, again, if you're going to ride the bicycle, you have to ride it naked here in Portland. That's the major thing.
Yeah,
Is the
maybe with
naked
some
bike
animal
ride.
blood on you.
Maybe a little bit of that, but specifically possum blood. That's what's most requested. Is if you can find
Vegan
it.
possum blood.
Non
Yeah.
sequiturs come back. See what I was talking about? Total non sequitur.
What are you talking about, Greg?
Possum blood. What the hell are you talking about?
I know. I think that's probably a good segue into our cooking segment, actually.
Yes, the best segue I could imagine. Brilliant.
So we made it to basically the halfway mark. If you want to stick around and listen to our cooking segment and stick around to talk about our client, we totally welcome you, Luka. But this is also a good time to tell people where they can find your music and how they can hear you and where they can find out more about you. So Go ahead, make the plugs.
The plugs. I'll just plug it right in. Luka James is my name. Luka James.
And music is your game.
And I'm on Spotify. I have 2 songs, and also my YouTube is Luka James. And I have incredible music videos. I've been collaborating with people like Morgana Van Peebles, Anastasia Duchess, these like phenomenal filmmakers. The videos are going to be insane on YouTube, and I also play a lot of covers all around the country there. So definitely check out the YouTube page. And I'm also on Instagram, TikTok. Shoot me a message if you vibe with any of the mission that I'm on, and if you want to, you know, get into your voice, or if you just like the music, or if you're trying to get into music yourself, or just whatever creative outlet. I love talking to people and learning from their journeys. So just like talking to you guys. So yeah, definitely link up with me, and it's fun. I'm hoping to do a European tour this summer. It's got a couple venues already unlocked. So if anyone's in Europe and wants to come to a show, also link up with me.
How would you describe your genre of music, really quick?
It's like alternative indie rock.
Hazy.
Some people say dream pop, indie rock, alternative.
Dream pop. I like the name of that.
Yeah, that's very apropos from that video I saw.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, let's move right on into our cooking segment, which, as everyone knows, is Waspy Soda Pop. So let's get him started.
Food is for eating, food is for eating, food is for eating with Waspy Soda Pop.
Hey there, everybody. This is Waspy Soda Pop, and this is Food is for Eating. I got a great recipe for you today. It's something people eat all over this country in restaurants and bars all over the place. These are tier battered onion rings. Let me get started. Here are the ingredients. You want to get 2 cups all-purpose flour divided, 2 teaspoons of paprika. Never really understood what paprika is. Is it pepper or is it rica? I don't know. I don't know what either of those are. Anyway, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1/2 a teaspoon of pepper, 1½ cups or 12 ounces of tears from battered husbands. These can be collected at like local dive bars or MAGA rallies. You want to get 2 large yellow or Vidalia onions, some vegetable oil like corn or peanut or sesame, but not from a wheelchair. That's for frying. Remember, do not get your vegetable for a wheelchair. And if you want, you can get some spicy ketchup for dipping. That's optional. Here's your ingredients, your instructions. Which is it? I don't know. I think it's instructions. Anyway, in a large bowl, you want to whisk together 1.5 cups of flour with the paprika, the garlic powder, the salt, and the pepper. You whisk in the tears until the mixture is well combined. Let the batter rest at room temperature for 10 minutes. You might hear some sobbing at the same time. Anyway, while the batter rests, you cut the tip off the stem side of the onions, remove the peel, slice the onions horizontally, you should know what that means, into 1/2-inch thick rings and toss them with the remaining 1/2 cup of flour. Add the vegetable oil. Again, do not go near a wheelchair. To a large, heavy-bottom pot, like a Dutch oven pot. And not like whenever you're in the bedroom and you put the blanket over your partner's head. Different kind of Dutch oven. To a depth of 2 inches and heat it over medium-high heat till a deep fry thermometer reaches 375 degrees. Then, working in batches, you dip the onion rings into the prepared tier batter, shaking off any excess, then immediately, quickly, drop them into the hot oil. Be careful not to overcrowd the pot. Allow the onions to cook in the oil. Flip them once to guarantee even browning for a total of about 3 minutes. Remove the onions with a slotted spoon and transfer them to a paper towel-lined plate. Immediately, again, quickly, season them with salt. Repeat the coating and frying process, returning the oil to 375 degrees between batches with the remaining onions. And then there you have it, the perfect tier battered onion rings for yourself and your family, whoever you want to feed them to. And you can tell them where you got the tears from, too, because that's important. All right, this is Waspy Soda Pop. Food is for eating. Bye. Okay.
Waspy's insane. That's nuts.
A little bit. I don't know. I think that's he's got something in terms of the tier battered onion rings.
But why would it be Vidalia onions? Those are the sweet ones that don't make you cry. You should use like strong red onions or something.
Well, I mean, the point is you're getting the tears from somewhere else besides the onions.
I know, but it would help to have more tears.
I guess if you're well, it says to get them from like a local bar or a MAGA rally. So that's where the tears are supposed to be harvested from. I think those are like the special harvesting places for tears, is those particular spots. But all right, well, it looks like Luka is either listening in or he's just there he is, son of a gun. Hey, Luka, I don't know if you have any questions, any legal questions that you need answered, but Greg is available for that if you're interested.
He has an opinion, may not always be right. He's a real fake lawyer. He's old and he's white. Ask him a question, 'cause he's a good egg for bogus advice. Ask Greg. Ask Greg? Ask Greg!
Dear Greg.
Yes.
Dear
Greg. I've never been able to afford a lawyer before till today. Thank you.
That almost sounded like his the person who did the intro.
It's my wife.
I thought Lavana was there.
Greg, I love these, our favorite stores from Bleeker Street, Bleeker Bob's, St. Mark's Comics, all these random stores that no one wants anymore. How can we bring them back just so that people can walk by and say, oh, what a nice place?
How can you do it legally, Greg?
Yeah, what can we do
legally? I guess this is like beyond my purview as just a fake lawyer, but I would have to petition the state Congress of New York to give more small business loans to stop the encroachment of the M&M store and Fuddruckers and all the chains that are taking over these great little stores. I don't know if that's legal or just sound social policy.
Should there be dynamite involved?
Well, that's not legal, Matt.
Okay. Sorry.
That's paralegal? No, it's unlegal. It's neo-legal.
Unlegal.
But yeah, I wish Portland, actually, we do seem to have laws here. There's still so many mom and pop places here. Obviously Portland, or at least Oregon, has more, makes it easier for small businesses to exist in the first place. There's so many places here where just someone's garage, they turned into a luthier shop or a bookstore. It's right in their front yard. In New York, in most states, that's very hard. They make it hard. It's like, oh, you have to be in a business district, or you're not zoned for business. There's definitely legal laws that could be passed that make it easier for small businesses to exist in the first place.
Legal laws?
Legal
Instead of
laws.
the illegal laws.
Yeah, we don't like the illegal laws here.
Okay, good.
We're a
How
law
do you
office.
feel that you've answered his question fully, Greg?
I did, but it wasn't very legal. I didn't use any Latin. I feel
All
bad.
All right. We got one more question for you from the peanut galleries that are out there. So, Greg, dear Greg, is it a crime in Texas for a man to accidentally use the woman's locker room restroom?
Locker room restroom.
Yes, like for
So
a
the
man
first
goes,
to go into a woman's locker room, and then to have the tenacity and audacity to use the bathroom as well. You're saying
Did you mean temerity?
temerity and veracity.
All the different itties that you can
Yeah.
add to this. Okay.
I imagine in Texas it's very illegal. I imagine if you're trans, if they don't think you're a woman, yeah, that's very illegal.
Okay. What if you're a dog? Like a male
No,
dog?
they're not
You
even
know-
allowed in the establishment.
Okay.
I'm not a dog lawyer. The Shaggy DA does I give work to him. Anytime dog law comes up, I know the Shaggy DA, and he does that for me.
Okay.
But yeah, it's illegal to even go in a woman's locker room in the first place in Texas.
All right.
And
Well,
that's
thank
maybe
you.
in everywhere. That might be a good law.
Okay. Possibly. Well, good. Thank you very much. That was our most recent edition of Ask Greg. So once again, providing us with his non-legal training and responses to questions asked.
But I am old and I'm white, so I have a right to mouth off about stuff.
Yeah, you have bogus opinions. All right. So moving on, we have our client for today. Our client for today is Spaceships and Toasters. Now, Greg actually tracked this particular client down. He's been working on getting it for a while. And so, Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about what this client is and what we're doing, how we're supposed to be representing this client. And Luka, again, it's up to you if you'd like to stick around or not and join in.
I'm gonna head out, guys.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being with us, Lucas.
Nice
We really
meeting you,
appreciate it.
Luka.
Yeah.
And
this is a lot of
good
fun. I
luck
really
on your
appreciate
music.
creativity.
If you get a new song out, let us know.
Oh, I will for sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
We'll
Thank
come
you
up
again.
with
That is
one
Luka
couple
James, all the way from
Thanks,
Greenwich Village.
For you.
You didn't learn anything
Greenwich.
today.
Greenwich Village.
I'll see you on Houston Street next time I'm there.
That's Houston Street. Exactly. All right. Spaceships and Toasters.
Well, I got to be honest.
Yeah.
I did no legal purview here. I just wanted to talk about science fiction movies because I love them.
What did you have in mind regarding science fiction movies?
I love them.
Right, but what did you want to say about them? Like, is there a particular type of science fiction movie you prefer over other types of science fiction movies? Are there like science fiction movies that you've gotten tired of, or you like seeing? We'd like to see more of?
I do prefer the science fiction movies, like definitely from the 70s. That kind of the ones that take place slightly in the future, where it's like, this is what we could end up being if we keep fucking up. Like, where it's like almost like you can posit things in science fiction movies that if you just made a movie about this social problem, it would be dry, it would be a polemic, it would be like, oh yeah, we know that, yeah. But science fiction can make it become a real thing where you're like, holy shit, that's what the world could be like if we keep fucking up and doing this.
Yeah.
If there was some like annoying professor just telling you about, or like some movie by Steven Soderbergh where it's like, this is bad, you'd be like, I don't know why I said Steven Soderbergh, he's a good director, but Sidney Pollack, you'd be like, okay, thanks for the lesson. But science fiction is a great way to point out the foibles and the problems in our world and make it entertaining, like Soylent Green.
Yeah.
All those movies. I also like goofy science fiction
explain
movies.
Soylent Green. Like, what is it about that movie that you feels expresses your sentiment?
Well, I'm saying that came out in like the early 70s when like everyone was worried about population explosion and not enough resources, and this is what the world will look like. Like all you people who say, it's fine, let's not vote, let's not be green, let's not worry about the environment. This is the fucking world you're gonna end up with. So it shows it clearly. you can't. It draws a picture like you keep voting that way. This is what shitty world you're going to live in, and it brings it home to people. It makes them say, "Oh, I don't want to live in that world. Maybe I will vote for Bernie Sanders next election or some green guy who's going to change things and not ruin the environment." So I'm like
you're like a dubbed Chinese kung fu movie.
Yeah,
is what
these
you
guys
are
know
today.
terrific kung fu. Master Lee.
What is the best science fiction kung fu movie you've seen?
The Matrix.
It's not really a kung fu movie though.
Their fighting's pretty.
Yeah, but they did lots of other things. They had like kung fu in it, but that wasn't all of the fighting. There was lots of
gunfights and stuff, but it did have a lot of wicked martial arts. I mean, they even hired that famous Hong Kong with the wire work guy, Wu Pei or something. He was a legend in Hong Kong kung fu movies. They hired him to do all those fight scenes. The wire work, as they call it.
Is that what they call it? They call it the wire work.
Yeah, when people are flying around.
That you're not certain that that's what it's called. You think that's what it's called?
Wire work is what it's called. I'm just saying
is what they
call it.
Kind of a
nerdy expression.
Is it nerdy?
Apparently you don't even know.
Unlike talking about science fiction movies, that's not nerdy.
Well, you're a huge nerd and you didn't even know what wire work was. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I couldn't have figured that out. I don't know what wire work is.
You figured it out, but you didn't know.
All right. Well, my favorite science fiction kung fu movie is the one with Jet Li.
Really?
I don't know if you're familiar with that one or not, though.
You gave it to me, actually.
Oh, did I? Did you ever watch it?
You gave me all those DVDs. Yeah, it was fun. I didn't think it was a great science fiction movie.
Well, it wasn't the greatest of science fiction movies, but it was a fun. It could have been a better movie in overall, but in terms of the kung fu in it, that was the best kung fu science fiction movie, in my opinion.
I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because it's Jet Li fighting Jet Li, then fighting Jet Li again in various different sequences.
And I like sometimes Jet Li would be like a surfer hippie dude, and then sometimes Jet Li would be a nerdy guy.
And then he was the evil Jet Li.
Mm-hmm. With a mustache, like in Star Trek. He was evil.
That's right. I don't think his name was Jet Li. His name was Dead Li. I apologize for that particular pun just now. Sorry, it was in my head, and it had to escape. So.
But I do love science fiction movies. I'll watch any science fiction movie, no matter how lunky it is, just because I like seeing like what could happen in the future. Even if it's a boring movie, it's like, ooh, that's an interesting take on this could happen. Not just movies, just science fiction. That's why I love science fiction.
All right. So do you prefer like the alien movies, or do you prefer like time travel movies, or do you prefer going out into the solar system or the universe, or do you prefer things that are nowhere near Earth at all? Which types do you think that you sink into? And how many of them involve toasters?
I really like those social ones. One of my favorites is actually The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars, but I don't want to talk about that now because I haven't seen it in a while and I forgot.
I'm waiting for the live action version of that to come out.
No, no one's seen that movie, but Matt just found that on the internet today.
Well, actually, I think I used to own The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars for my kids when they were, I think we had both of them. Oh. We had The Brave Little Toaster and The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars. So, which would be kind of science fiction because it's, like a toaster coming to life. I don't know. I guess I would be saying that Cars is science fiction because the cars come to life. Why am I yawning? That's not okay.
Anyway. Did you have The Brave Little Toaster Goes to White Castle? That one?
Harold and Kumar Go to the Toaster?
Yes. But I definitely, I guess the answer is I love the science fiction movies that are like the ones that are like putting a mirror on our time. Using science fiction to get away, like the social ones, like, District 9? Was that the name of that movie?
Yeah, I think so. That's one where the aliens were put into camps.
Yeah, and I love that kind of shit. And the one about all the rich people get to live above Earth.
That was the one with Matt Damon, right?
Elysium,
right, where he was like kind of a cyborg type person.
Yeah. But I'm a sucker for those. But I love even stupid shit like, if you're a sci-fi fan, Star Wars is pretty stupid. Most people say it's not even science fiction, it's fantasy. You know, it's
Well, of
space
course,
fantasy.
of course, it's science fiction.
Well,
You
I
know,
know, but it's
once you
also
go
like
into space, it's science fiction.
that's true.
Yeah. And not only that, the lightsabers themselves are technological devices. They're not like fantasy. They're not made for magic.
But what about the Force?
What about the Force?
It binds us.
It's
It
done
unites us.
based upon supposedly stuff in your bloodstreams. The what is it? The midichlorians?
No, I don't accept that.
And the midichlorians, I believe, are also a really good dishwashing detergent as well.
And a floor wax. No,
No, we used that joke before as a floor
I know.
wax.
I'm gonna keep using it. I love it.
And
But
the floor
I gotta
wax.
say, I still reject that as a total nerd.
Yeah.
George Lucas was high that day. He hit his head. That ruined the Force because I'm a total atheist. But as a kid, I loved that whole like hippie. Oh, the Force is this like Buddhist kind of
Hey,
concept.
can you turn those sirens off, please?
But what sci-fi movies do you gravitate towards? Which particular genre of sci-fi?
Well, I wish the time travel movies would be good. Because those are the ones that I kind of like more
They're
than
always
others.
confusing, though. It's always so fucking confusing, time travel.
I know it can be because you get into the whole concept of what happens if you go back and kill Hitler type of stuff, right? And how that can affect everything. But I liked the Austin Powers take on time travel, which was just don't care about the consequences, and that there won't be any consequences because it's a comedy movie, so you can do what you want. So that's what I preferred, is that if you didn't think too hard about it, anything in time travel could be done. But yeah, you can certainly get in a lot of sticky territory when talking about time travel and what can happen, the consequences of your action. If you go back in time, if you go forward in time, it's not so much. But I'm assuming you said you've been recently doing the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So you must have gone into the Avengers movie where they dealt with time travel right there, right?
Yeah, I'm just there actually. Even though I saw it before, but I forgot.
Yeah,
I saw it when it came out, but now
now it makes more sense to you about things, right?
Yeah, me and Jen are right at Endgame.
And Jen, for everybody out there who's interested in, is Greg's girlfriend, the one who saved him from a life of asexuality. So, in case you're all wondering.
I don't know if that's the word saved.
Who transformed you?
She dragged me kicking and screaming out of my placid existence.
Dragged you out of it. Well,
it wasn't her intention, but
that dragging would imply intention.
But well, she's very lovable, and so I fell in love with her, and I couldn't be asexual anymore.
It just couldn't be. It couldn't happen. You could still do it.
I couldn't be. She's right in front of me.
You could still love somebody and be asexual.
Not that kind of love. That's not real love.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I'm talking about love. Like Valentine's Day love.
Valentine's Day love. What is that?
Sending I really love you. Yeah, you love your mom, you love your whatever, your friends. Real love.
Isn't that what Valentine's Day love is? Is loving your mom and loving your friends?
Not really. It's romantic love. And then
I don't think romantic love exists, but I think that would be a client for another day.
Matt is married, by the way, everyone. Just
Can you imagine what she goes through?
He has a romanticless marriage.
Where is the romance? I did not ask for this.
It's a marriage of convenience.
That's right. If I ever wrote a love song, it would be just basically one chord.
Matt needed a green card, so he married Lavana.
That's right. I moved here from Cambodia.
From the Philippines.
No, I moved here from Washington, D.C., so it's similar. All right. What else? So we've got spaceships and toasters. So spaceships. So there's lots and lots of movies about spaceships. You know, I am kind of tired about the aliens and space movies where people get killed a lot. You know, it's really not that fun for me anymore. Where that is like created. Well, you know, like Alien and Predator and you know, they were fun when they came out, but it's like
those are like hybrid horror movies. Aliens,
Supernova.
sci-fi horror.
Well, yeah, but it's still science fiction. You know, the fact is science
true.
fiction can encompass every other genre, which is
True.
one of the great things about science fiction is that you can stick every other genre of film into science fiction.
Rom-com, sci-fi.
Yeah, there's been all of that, you know, parodies, Spaceballs.
Yeah.
You know, Space These Nuts. But the fact is that, you know, you can't really say that with other genres. You can't stick like other genres in other genres. You can't stick a comedy in a thriller, really. You can have like comedic lines.
Scream?
What's that?
Scream is like a horror comedy.
Scream isn't a comedy, though. I mean, that's basically
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead. Okay, that works. That one works.
That's a comedy.
Yeah.
That's just a satire of zombie movies, basically.
Yeah. But all right. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
No. I think you're right, though. Sci-fi does. If there's a rom-com sci-fi movie, I'd still say it's a sci-fi movie.
I mean, can you have a rom-com horror movie?
You could.
I don't think you can. I don't think you could call it a horror movie also, though. But like you brought up Alien. Alien is a horror movie and it's science fiction.
Yeah.
They could be put under either of those genres and it would still follow.
But I think you're right. Sci-fi precedes it. Sci-fi is the main genre it should be under. It is a sci-fi movie with very horrific elements.
Because science fiction is essentially the umbrella for it, you know. It's like even fantasy movies, you can't really put other things in the same context. You can't have like I was thinking you can't do a fantasy detective movie, but I guess you could do that. Fantasy detective movie. I wouldn't know.
There was a comic book called Grimjack, who was like he was like a private eye, like hard-boiled Raymond Chandler guy, but he lived in this crazy fantasy sci-fi world. But I would call it sci-fi.
I think what I'm stating is that I am contradictory to my statements today, and I have nothing to base my opinions on.
I think you're right, though. I think sci-fi trumps every other genre it encapsulates. So, yeah, sci-fi horror, it's still a sci-fi movie. Yeah. You know what really bugged me, because I worked in a bookstore for years, is that 1984 and Brave New World aren't considered sci-fi because they're good, because they're literarily lauded. And it's like, oh, but that's not sci-fi. That's literature. It's like, but it's sci-fi. It's just really good. Well written.
Well, I mean,
sci-fi.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is sci-fi. The Time Machine is. Well, I mean, H.G. Wells is. Well, come on, H.G. Wells wouldn't be as well known if it wasn't well written. That's just a fact.
Well, H.G. Wells, nobody is out there saying like, oh, one of the great writers. He's a great sci-fi originator of sci-fi science fiction, but no literary critics are like, oh, H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, what brilliant wordsmiths. You know,
why wouldn't they? I'm sure there's courses taught about them.
They weren't that great. They were writing like basically serialized pulp fiction, but it was better than most. But I mean, 1984 is like one of the great novels of the 20th century, but it is sci-fi. It just happens to be sci-fi, but they won't admit that. They're like, well, it's too good to be sci-fi. It's like,
well the moment you talk about something happening in the future, you've entered the realm of science fiction because you don't know it to be fact.
Yeah.
Same thing with Brave New World, especially Brave New World.
Like Sir Thomas.
That's like saying that Logan's Run isn't science fiction.
No, that's very different because that's a shitty book. I read it. It's not very good authors. But I'm saying, like, they say that one of the first sci-fi books is Utopia by Sir Thomas More. It was like 1670 or something.
Yeah.
And it posits this imaginary society. And
well, you can even say Dante's Inferno may be one of the first fantasy books or the Bible.
Well, if you're not a Christian, yeah, if you're an atheist, I think it's fantasy. But,
yeah, I mean, because
but I'm saying Sir Thomas More's Utopia.
Realms.
Sir Thomas More's Utopia was just like, nobody thinks that's real, but you'll never find that in the sci-fi section of a bookstore. It's literature. It's the classics, you know.
Edgar Allan Poe wrote a couple of science fiction stories, which most people don't know.
Oh, yeah.
There was one where he had like a super powered balloon back before the days of airplanes. So that's what you could think of in terms of the usage of the technology of the time was
Yeah.
hot air balloons, and he made it like super powered where it could like move through the sky incredibly fast, which was weird when I was reading this collection of Edgar Allan Poe stories that he had a story like that. I'm like, this is sci-fi. I'm like, Poe's writing sci-fi. This is fascinating, considering he had everybody in these other stories dying
Yeah.
these gruesome deaths in these horrible, horrible ways. This is like this lighthearted thing. I'm like, huh? Poe? Like, was he like sober for this story? Is that what happened? I don't know.
He wasn't on laudanum.
or whatever, or he wasn't like hammered like you are generally. You are the modern day Edgar Allan Poe, Greg, in case you didn't know.
I thought Edgar Allan Poe was actually like a full-on drug addict. Like he would take laudanum or whatever the drugs were of the day.
I don't know about his drug. I mean, I know he had drug use. I'm just not aware of it as much as I'm aware of his alcoholism.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what I think he
I
died
wasn't aware of
for
that.
alcoholism.
I didn't know that.
We both have research to do. Maybe we should put Edgar Allan Poe on the as a client one of these days that neither one of us would know enough about to talk about him.
I know a lot of things about Edgar Allan Poe. I just thought I always heard that he was more into like drugs and shit.
Well, it's worth double checking for both of us because one of us is wrong.
Yeah, it's probably me. It usually is.
I know, but my memory, the facts don't come to me as quickly as they used to in the old days. Yeah. All right, we're not being very funny today. Maybe it's because we're missing Brendan, or I don't know. I can't really gauge why we're sucking today, but I think we need to delve into some other movie that can work here. So what's a movie you wanted to talk about? Science fiction movies, and said you started off with a general concept but not like specific science fiction movies. The one that 2001 A Space Odyssey, that one became a horror movie towards the end.
What?
But it wasn't really a horror movie in the beginning.
You think it became a horror movie?
Yeah, it became a horror movie.
The HAL 9000 or 3000 part.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. A thriller. I don't know if it's horror.
It's not horror. Well, I guess it's not a slasher movie.
I think it's thriller.
Horror.
Thriller.
The thriller?
It's very suspenseful, but I don't know if it's horror. It's not like wait.
It's not like they're being chased by an alien like in the movie Alien.
Yeah. It's very suspenseful and thrilling.
I think a science fiction fantasy movie out there is Avatar. I think that's like the epitome of a science fiction / actual fantasy movie at the same time.
The Airbender?
No, the movie Avatar from James Cameron.
It's horrific. I've never seen it, to be honest.
No, I didn't say horrific. I said it's fantasy. It's a fantasy movie inside of a science fiction movie.
Yeah, a lot of great science fiction is. I mean, Star Wars.
Wait, you haven't seen Avatar?
I know. I've seen 10 minutes of it. What? And you know what's weird?
Honestly, I wasn't that big of a fan of it, but you should at least watch it.
I know I want to because it's part of our culture, our cultural Jungian subconscious. But I got to say, though, I saw 10 minutes of it, and I was very disturbed how aroused I was by the blue alien chick. She was hot.
So you wouldn't watch it because you were turned on by the alien.
It's not like I wouldn't watch it because of that. I wanted to watch more because
was it because she was actually being run by Sigourney Weaver?
I don't know what it was. It was like she was hot, and it's not like that's why I stopped watching it. I just
I'm no longer asexual. I need a blue alien woman.
I think I was watching it at like Plasma when they were drawing plasma from my arm, and they just showed movies. So I'd see like little clips of movies here and there, 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So I never got to finish it. But I remember seeing it and being like, my underwear is feeling funny right now.
Why am I so tingly, mommy?
Yeah. In my
Avatar makes me think things.
I know, it's so weird. It was like, it was CGI. But I mean, when I was a kid, I would watch She-Ra, He-Man's cousin or whatever she is.
Yeah.
I would be turned on by She-Ra because she had these big hips. And like, she was just this Amazon.
So like childbearing hips?
Yeah, and I was like 15 when that show came out. I mean, I should have known better. But I didn't have porn back then. It was still that era where...
So She-Ra was your 16-year-old porn?
She was in my spank bank.
Was She-Ra and He-Man both of them at the same time? Part of your fantasies?
No, but maybe a few years later I might have had He-Man because I had some.
And then add in like the giant mutated tiger for kicks to throw in your
The
bestiality
Thundercats.
phase.
Are you talking about-
Yes.
And then I could have Orko in my fantasies.
Orko? What's an Orko?
Hey, He-Man. You know that little turd?
Oh, I never watched the cartoon. I thought any cartoon where the lead character's name was He-Man was something I should never watch.
It's pretty weird that was a big thing. That's a weird.
I didn't even get. I'm like, why don't you just call him Mr. Macho? I mean, it's like,
yeah.
Why stop there?
Strapping young buck.
And the and the other thing was I never heard much about the masters of the universe. Like, who are these masters? Who are the people who are supposed to be doing the mastering of the universe?
I think they were kind of like demigods. So like
who
He-Man
was
and
He-Man? No, but it's He-Man and the masters of the universe. So I thought like the villain was Skeletor, right? So I thought maybe he was supposed to be a master, but I guess he could be a master because he was trying to run things. But it always taking place on like this one planet. I'm like, so they're not even. I think. I mean, again, I never watched the show.
It's called Eternia, Matt. By the way, the planet.
It's called a what?
Eternia.
Eternia, like the nature of this conversation. So
yes.
Anyway, so yeah, I never understood it.
Things so much that even as a teenager, you were like, I don't want to watch this show. Who's the Masters of the Universe?
What do you mean as a teenager? I was like a young adult when that came out.
Oh yeah. Wait, how older than me are you?
What?
You're 2 years older than me? I thought you were my age, roughly.
I don't remember how much. I know I'm like 4 years older than Brendan. I think I'm 2 years older than you.
Yeah.
When did He-Man come out? I thought that was in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, you were a teenager still.
I suppose. I mean,
I think you were getting laid.
I was a teenager until 1986. So
yeah. Then
I became no longer a teen. But I was an adult in 84.
And you became a manager.
A manager? Is that like a momager? Like a mother who manages? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you were a man. You weren't a teenager anymore. You were 20, so you couldn't say I'm a ager at all. 20.
Right? Yeah, I was a 20er. I was in my twenties.
Your tween.
Oh, we need to end this. Greg is coughing.
Twinkies?
We're hunting for things to talk about. It's very sad. This is why it's good to have guests, Greg. It's good to have guests, so it's not just us.
No, because a lot of the guests would just be sitting there.
What do we say now at the end of the show?
A lot of the guests would just be sitting there watching us.
I know, but at least when things were a lull, we could turn and ask them a question. I think this is a new character. I need to create something for her.
That's Waspy Soda Pop's sister.
Right. And we don't need another cooking segment, I'll tell you that.
His mongoloid sister.
Waspy, where are you? You left me behind at the convenience store again.
I don't know. I don't see any difference between this and any other episode. I think you're in a
other one. I'll tell you the difference is that I don't know, because we don't often have just the two of us is why, because we did the first two episodes of this show and then Brendan came along and that was the tone for the rest. So whenever it just comes out, what?
We've had a bunch where Brendan.
We haven't had a bunch, but we've usually had guests when Brendan isn't around.
A gaggle?
No, we haven't had a gaggle. I think we've had less. We've had like maybe 4, I think, 4 or 5, where it's just been you and I having to like extend this concept.
They've all sucked.
Well, this is why I wanted guests, is because of the fact that there's only so much of us harassing each other that can be sustained for an extended period of time.
But maybe
we have gone a little long, so I think it's a good time to end things off. Unless there's a comment you want to make before we finish this completely, because we didn't have anybody actually ask us any questions on YouTube today. So the guys from Happy Hour News Team did not show up. We have one person watching, but I think that's me. watching so I can see if we have any
Wow.
questions. And we lost all of the. We did have somebody send us 3 roses on TikTok. I don't know what that means, but someone sent from
Is that like
Free-
a mafia thing?
Free Spirit Tarot sent us 3 roses. And one person said hi. We have had 33 people like the live video though, which is odd to me that they would like just.
But they're not watching it though.
Seeing that, I don't know if they're watching at all. Is somebody watching on TikTok? Fuzzard75 joined recently, and King J Den 444 said hi. That's what we had on TikTok.
Hey,
But,
King J Deb.
there were
and
other
Fuzzard?
people. Yeah, I should have probably said something when Free Spirit Tarot sent the roses, but I wasn't. We were talking to Luka at the time. But TikTok apparently lets people know that we're live, and then it tries to get you to have other people join in on the live. It's a strange thing. I don't understand. Anyway, enough about TikTok. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today live. Everybody meaning basically, I think just me on YouTube, but we're doing it every week. So, you can tune in or listen to it tomorrow. You have choices. Anyway, this is January 19th, 2022. Technology is still baffling to me, apparently, that I cannot hit sequences or the
And we're still
strokes.
not funny.
Or I'm going to be yes, we're still not funny. or I'm having another stroke soon, and that explains everything. But I want to thank Greg very much. And our guest, Luka James, go listen to his music. It's actually not bad. If you're into Tame Impala, it kind of has a Tame Impala sound to it. And he'll be having more music coming along. I want to thank Greg for putting up with me. I want to thank Brendan for not showing up tonight so that he forced us to have to talk to each other.
Matt, can't you say something better than his music's not bad? Isn't that a little undiplomatic? His music's not bad. It's not the worst shit you've ever heard.
It's passable. If you like that kind of thing, you could enjoy it. No, it was actually good. He's a talented musician. He's a talented singer. And I'll listen to it a few times. At least one more time.
It's not the worst shit
Am
you've ever
am
heard.
I able to actually give people compliments, Greg? I think that's really the issue. Is that
Yeah, but that was a very.
I have a lot of
compliment.
I'm non-committal to people. I'm afraid to say good
Yeah.
things about them because maybe I'll be wrong and nobody will like them or something.
Okay,
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying that. I just commented because it's
Uh-oh.
not bad.
Something. I blew a fuse in my office.
I just saw that. What happened? Is an alien visiting you?
The light went off and my heater went off and my other light went off.
But it looked like the light flared.
I think that's a hint saying you've gone on too long, and we blew the fuse because
I think so.
you used it too long. Because I had to have the heater on and the lights on for podcast purposes. So on that note, since there's a ghost in the machine, this has been the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker live on YouTube, live on TikTok, and now no longer live on anything if I can figure out how to get out
But
of it.
unrecorded.
I'm ending the live video on TikTok now. Whoop, where'd it go? I'm ending it now. Ending it now. Goodbye. Goodbye, live TikTok. Goodbye, live YouTube.
I can't believe I did all that work.
And this is the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, Bicker.
Oh, we're still going?
We're still recording. Just not
I'm
live.
gonna keep those little shits happy for
All right.
a little while.
Bye.
Oh shit, we're still on.
Your consultation with the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they ever listen? Get out! Get out!